Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here to do power rankings heading into the November 11th slate of Southeastern Conference football games. Our power rankings are presented by BetOnline. The last of the major pro sports leagues is off and rolling. College basketball is also underway. BetOnline remains your top spot for all your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL, all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. All the hoops betting action along with every sport available at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today. Remember to use your promo code BELIEVE for your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline where the game starts, and I think you can get college football playoff futures there. I know you could last week, so might be something to check on this week if you have an opinion there. All right, well, we've got opinions on where we slot the 14 teams. As always, we start at the bottom where Vanderbilt has occupied the number 14 spot. Blake, no news there. Vanderbilt's just been bad, and unless they are able to beat South Carolina this weekend, they're going to stay at 14.
Yep, on to number 13.
Indeed. You've got, I think, three teams you could make an argument for here at 13. To that 11 spot. Here's where we went Mississippi State, and I know Mississippi State beat Arkansas a couple of weeks ago, but I think Arkansas sort of showed you what the problem is. State just cannot score right now. It's got problems in pass defense. It's got potential problems with coaching stability. We'll see if they make a change in the offseason, but your Mississippi State Bulldogs are your number 13 team for this week.
Yeah, I guess it probably comes down to who has the best win, right? And Mississippi State beat Arkansas beat Florida. I just feel like Florida's better than both, probably. Overall, at least to this point in the season, I know Arkansas fans can say, well, we beat them. But, yeah, I think that's, like I said, they just can't score. Will Rogers out and all that. It's just been a grind for Mississippi State. And so
could have put South Carolina at 13, but we put them at 12 because I think the difference to me is at least South Carolina's got something that you can hang your hat on, that Spencer Rattler and Xavier Legette. Carolina always plays well this time of year. Did get a win last week over Jacksonville State. Wasn't pretty, but got one. Should get one over Vandy this weekend. Gamecocks have got a chance to move up if they can finish strong, which under Shane Beamer, they have done.
Yeah, as we said, 4 straight home games, finished the season, beat Jacksonville State. Wasn't always pretty, but now you got 3 opportunities at home: Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Clemson. So, yeah, we'll see how they finish the season. And it's been one of those years for South Carolina, and obviously have to win all 3 to get to 6-6. But we'll see. Opportunities there with this many home games, and we saw them kind of turn on last year, although it was a little bit different this year. We'll see.
Yeah, it does. Arkansas at 11. Look, as I pointed out in another video, the Razorbacks, I keep some composite power rankings among several reputable computers. Arkansas is number 37 nationally. This is the team that has been awful offensively, but it found a fix for that this weekend. We'll see if that holds going forward. Defense has been good most of the year. Again, I think Arkansas more unlucky than bad on the whole. I know it's not always been pretty, but we've got the Razorbacks at 11, and this is another team with a chance to move up as we finish the season.
Yep, another team that will play the rest of its games at home. Auburn, FIU, Missouri still left on the schedule, all going to DWR. And like you said, it's luck sometimes is in your favor, sometimes it's not. And Arkansas has lost 5 of their 6 games by a touchdown or less. And so it's just been one of those years, too, for them where they just haven't been able to put it all together. And, Mississippi State loss obviously stands out more than any, but nice for them to bounce back, get the win at Florida, build a little momentum here going into these final 3 games.
At number 10, Auburn, a team a lot like Arkansas, been good defensively, has had its struggles offensively. Jarquez Hunter did have a great game against Vandy last weekend. They're starting to throw the ball a little bit more, although I think that might be more a statement about the pass defenses they've played than the potency of the passing attack for Auburn. Auburn dropped a ton of balls against Vandy last week. I was in the stadium or in the press box for that one. For lack of a better idea, Auburn at 10. And I think really it's hard to argue the Tigers either up or down from this spot.
Yeah, I mean, look, they had 2 very winnable SEC games, their last 2 games, and that's the kind of games that if you're gonna kinda separate yourself from the bottom, you win those kind of games, and they did. They won both of them by 2 touchdowns or more. They beat Mississippi State the way they should have won that game. They go to Vanderbilt, take care of business, and so, yeah, so I think that's at least something that if you're Auburn fans, you can build off of. You got 5 wins at this point, 1 more to be bowl eligible. Should get that, maybe it's not Arkansas, maybe it's not Alabama, but should get it to Mexico State. And so, yeah, I mean, I think there's plenty of positives to build on. Even like I said, that 4-game losing streak, a lot more about the opponent, I think, than it necessarily was just where Auburn was at. It was just a hard stretch of games to play in a
Yeah.
5-week span. And so, yeah, they bounced back 2 wins in a row here. Should be an interesting one against Arkansas.
Florida at 9, and everybody's opinion of Florida just ping pongs around according to their last game. And look, here's the truth about Florida. Florida's had some good moments, beating Tennessee and really looking good in that game way back in September, winning that game at South Carolina where Graham Mertz came alive a couple weeks ago. And then they've not looked good like Saturday. But this is kind of what Florida is before the season. I said I just did not think this was talent-wise a vintage Florida top 25 type team, but I think they've proven they're not awful either. The schedule has been brutal. It's going to get more brutal.
Yeah.
Florida is what it is. It's a good team, but not a great team. And here we have the Gators at 9.
Yeah, how they finish the season is going to be very interesting, because I'd have to look at everybody's, but I've got to imagine it's probably the toughest stretch out there left. One of the without question toughest at LSU, at Missouri, home against Florida State. So not a good time to be on a 2-game losing streak. That Arkansas game felt very important for that reason because now you're at 5-4, and you feel like you've done some good things this season, but it could all kind of spiral out of control here with these final 3 games. So, yeah, that's why that Arkansas loss feels like one that maybe look back on and wonder what might have been if things don't go well these last 3.
Number 8, Kentucky. And look, Kentucky, that Florida game really got people excited, and it should have. But since then, Kentucky has played 3 good teams. For the most part, hasn't looked great against any of them. Did throw the ball against Tennessee a couple weeks ago. Went down and clocked Mississippi State. So let's give them that. I think Kentucky, again, we're in that territory. We got a lot of teams that I think are good, but certainly not great. Flawed teams, and Kentucky fits in at number 8 in that pack.
Yeah, and like I said, still a tough slate to finish up with here. Of course, Alabama this weekend at South Carolina, which, as I mentioned a minute ago, I mean, it's in Columbia, so you never know. Then at Louisville, right, to finish off the season. So, yeah, I think this is a really important stretch here for Kentucky because they are 6-3. But you think about the wide range. You could be a team that's just kind of hanging on at 6-6, or you could be a team that maybe gets to 8 or 9 wins if everything goes perfect. Which would be just a huge step forward based on kind of the stretch in the middle here, where you really struggled, against the top tier teams in the SEC East. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what Kentucky looks like against Alabama based on where we know the Tide are right now, because I don't know exactly how much you take away from the Mississippi State win other than they took care of business and nice place to be in heading into this stretch run here.
All right, number 8.
7.
Or excuse me, number 7, Texas A&M. Again, the composite power rankings I keep have got A&M 16th nationally. I don't know when the last time anybody just obliterated Texas A&M. The Aggies are the masters of the close loss, which is what gets you ranked high in power rankings, is play good teams close, whether you win or lose. Unfortunately for Jimbo Fisher, that there've been a lot more losses than wins, and I don't think anybody's arguing A&M is the 16th best team in the country, but is scheduled with a lot of close games against good teams. Look, when you're that close, you're not bad. It's just they are not able to finish for whatever reason, and a lot of people in College Station would say, yes, we have a reason, and his name is Jimbo Fisher, and I don't know that I would argue that either.
Yeah, another kind of feels like missed opportunities, right? The Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss games, and just come up short in all 3, but Now, should get a good matchup against Mississippi State, Abilene Christian, then you got the game at LSU at the end of the season. So how they finish will certainly tell us a lot about the future of the program, I think.
All right, Tennessee at 6, and just hard to slot the Vols anywhere else. They're 15th in the national power rankings that I've got, which would be ahead of one team behind them, and that's going to be settled. I'll just go ahead and give that away. Missouri is 5, and pick your winner for this week and slot them accordingly. I picked Missouri in that game by virtue of being at home, but this one will get settled on Saturday. Tennessee looked good against Connecticut for whatever that's worth. Defense continues to play well. Missouri has had 2 losses, both of them close, but I think you had to be encouraged in the way that the Tigers showed up in Athens, a place where nobody wins. And so Missouri did lose a week ago. Tennessee did win, but nothing really changed my opinion much of either team in those outcomes.
No, I agree. I think both teams are about where you thought they'd be right now based on how the season's been going. And so, yeah, sets up to be a huge matchup. And then, of course, we know what sets up the following week for Tennessee against Georgia. And so, yeah, a lot at stake here for these two teams, and obviously a lot of room to move around here, especially up the rankings potentially, depending on how these next couple weeks go. So
LSU at number 4, I get it, 3-loss team, but did beat Missouri. Again, that offense is incredible. We'll see what the quarterback situation is or isn't, but I think LSU is still a top 10 team by the computers, and let's acknowledge that those losses are coming to some real heavyweights.
Yep, and again, no team. Last 3 games are at home. So Florida, Georgia State, Texas A&M. So of course, Jaden Daniels' status affects that, but still, I think LSU is still a really good team. It's just they certainly leave a lot to be desired on the defensive side. We know that, but offensively, good enough to hang with anybody. And so we'll see what happens here in these final 3 games.
Ole Miss kind of in that same range with LSU, played an easier schedule. Ole Miss beat them head to head. I think we've had Ole Miss at 3 for a while, and no reason to change.
No, only one blemish on the resume, right? That was the game at Alabama, and that feels like forever ago now, September 23rd. Yeah. So, they've just been doing their thing, and again, that's all you can do. You're going to have close games in the SEC, and they've managed to win some of those, right? And so, for their last 5, they've won by 7 or less. And so, that's just the SEC. And again, talk about bounces in your favor, making plays. Like, they've made the plays to win those games, and they have to make a lot of them to win on Saturday when they head to Athens to play Georgia.
All right, Alabama at 2, Georgia at 1. It feels like it's been this way for a long time. I can't tell you the last time it wasn't this way, probably after Alabama lost to Texas, perhaps. But in that power poll I keep, it's got Alabama 23.5 points above average, Georgia 23.8. So you play this one on a neutral field, and Georgia's about a half-point favorite. And guess what? These teams are very much trending towards playing on a neutral field. If Alabama is to win this weekend and it goes to Lexington, and I think it will win, Georgia has got a tough game against Ole Miss in one of the bigger games of national importance. I think Georgia wins that too. If that happens, we will have our SEC championship set between Georgia and Alabama, and boy, I cannot wait for that if that is what we get.
Yep, not a lot to add. These are the top 2 teams, and seem to be on course for yet another potential classic between these two. So we'll see if it gets there.
Okay, thank you for watching our SEC Power Rankings. We've got basketball content up at the channel now that opening night is complete. We got previews for all the games this weekend. We will wrap those up on Saturday night after they are all done. Best way to catch that, hit that subscribe button, enable your notifications so you can see when you go, or excuse me, so you can see when we go live. God bless you all. Have a great day. Thank you for watching Southeastern 14 presented by Bet Online.